Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel and what is now round 11 of the F1 season, which means it's time for the Austrian Grand Prix, the second of our first triple header of the season as we head to the Red Bull Ring. Now a new race does of course mean more predictions from both myself and more importantly Enzo the dog. Apologies for missing Spain last time out, but it actually turned out that I do have other hobbies apart from watching cars go around in circles, which was a surprise to me. But anyway, we're back with Austria and that of course means predictions, so let's get straight into it. Changing it up a bit because I feel like it probably wasn't quite right before, and we're going to start with Team of the Week. Now for this one, it's just generally the team that's going to do best, both drivers, the pace of the car, etc. And I've gone with Red Bull. Now I know what you're going to say, how can they be Team of the Week when they are literally only one car? And my reasoning for that is, I feel like Sergio Perez has had so many bad races in a row that one of them's got to go right now. And I feel like in Austria, a track that Red Bull generally does well at is one that he can perform and kind of get out of this run of poor form. And then of course you have on the other side of the garage Max, who is, well, just Max, and there's no reason to ever doubt him. Next up then, that brings us to our not-so team of the week, and the guys I've gone for this time are Aston Martin. Plain and simple, they're dropping backwards. Whereas seemingly everybody else is generally making some progress and doing a bit better, they've just got worse and worse as the season has gone on, to the point where they're now probably the 6th or 7th quickest car and fit comfortably in that range, nowhere near the top 4. Yes, you have someone like Fernando Alonso who can pull some good results out of the bag, but then you also have Lance Stroll, who is, well, Lance Stroll. And so in general, I feel like the Aston Martin team, the trajectory that they've been on, it's just not going to go great for them, and that's why they're my not-so team of the week. Moving to individual drivers now, and we'll start off with the sneaky good, someone who's done pretty well, but not quite that driver of the day category. The person I've gone for here, Pierre Gasly. Now Alpine have been steadily improving, and last race was definitely their best one so far. Plus, within the team, there is clear favouritism towards Gasly because, well, Ocon's going, but also Pierre has generally been outperforming Ocon, I would say, throughout the course of the year, and so I feel like if out of the two of them, one of them's going to do well, it's going to be him. So couple that with the trending performance of the Alpine car, and I feel like Gasly could have himself a good weekend. That of course brings us on to sneaky bad, and where we had one Alpine in good, the other one's in the bad category, with Esteban Ocon slotting in. Reason being, I feel like if Gasly's doing well, that probably means Ocon's not doing quite as good, and I feel like for both of them to have a good weekend, given the pace of that Alpine car isn't extraordinary or anything, is kind of a bit unlikely, and one of them will end up a bit further down. And because now that car is capable of getting some points, finishing 13th, 14th, 15th, is a slightly disappointing weekend, hence why Ocon's in this sneaky bad category. Moving then to the driver of the day, and this time we've gone for one of the McLarens. No, it's not Lando Norris, it's Oscar Piastri. Now don't get me wrong, I still think Norris will probably finish just ahead of Piastri, and you'll see later on in the predictions exactly where I put him. However, I do feel Piastri, kind of like Perez, has had a few sort of under the radar, not so great performances following Monaco, and so I feel like here in Austria could be the one for him to bounce back. Plus that McLaren car is looking good, and Austria is a place that you can overtake people, so if he does start a little bit further back in qualifying, he can get those overtakes done, and I feel like that all contributes to a driver of the day performance. And then finally, we get to the fail of the day, the person who's just really had a bad weekend, and I'm going to go for Lance Stroll. Now obviously Lance Stroll is quite an easy pick here, but it is combined with that sort of Aston Martin falling backwards, Alonso's always going to look better, and also at a track like Austria, I feel like in qualifying the margins are so tiny that someone like Lance Stroll could definitely miss out, start further back, and that kind of cements him in this fail of the weekend or fail of the day from there. So yeah, Lance Stroll for fail. Now of course that brings us on to Enzo's predictions, and given we didn't have any for Spain, we'll just jump straight into them. In last place, it's a pretty quick decision, as the person Enzo's putting here is going to be Logan Sargent in the Williams. Logan in last I feel like is pretty much a given for basically every prediction at this point. Next up then for Enzo, it's going to be a good slide along the floor, but at the end of the day he's going to bring back Valtteri Bottas to put in P19. Another person with 0 points, so P19 does make sense. Next up for Enzo, he's attacking the right side of the pyramid, picking up one of the Alpines and the French drivers. It's going to be Pierre Gasly that slots into P18. Bit disappointing considering last time out he got some points. Moving on to 17th now, and after demolishing the entire pyramid of drivers, he's going to come back with the other Sauber of Zhou Guanyu. Again, like his teammate, no points to show this year, so down the order it is. Next up then, and we go to P16 for Enzo, and he's got to be putting the real-life Mr. P11. Nico Hülkenberg, who's had something like 5 of the last 7 races in 11th place, gets P16 for this one. Moving on then to P15, and it seems like there's some deliberation, but it looks like it's going to be one of the Mercedes drivers that Enzo picks up, and it's actually Lewis Hamilton in 15th, the first surprise prediction from Enzo in this video. Next up then, we move to P14, and it seems like Enzo knows exactly who he's going for. It's going to be Kevin Magnussen in the Haas number 20 that slots in here. Next up, it's Unlucky 13, and it appears that Enzo's heading towards the top of the pyramid, and he's knocked a driver underneath the chair. Let's wait to see who it is, as he's determined to get it. It's looking blue, it's looking Red Bull, it's Sergio Perez in 13th place. Potentially a collision late on with Hamilton to drop them both down the order maybe. Next up we go to 12th, and after initially landing on Daniel Ricciardo and sending Lance Stroll's bag flying, he returns back to the Aston Martin to pick it up and slot him into 12th. Lance Stroll, number 18, P12. Next up we move to 11th, and it appears that Enzo's keen to knock the beanbags back underneath the chair. However, he seems pretty determined to pick up the one that he's already selected.
One eternity later.
Looking by the colour, it looks to be green, and it looks like it's going to be Fernando Alonso, Lance Stroll's teammate, to slot in just ahead in P11. To be fair, considering where he normally puts Fernando, this is actually quite a high prediction for Enzo. Top 10 now, and there are many options still available, but it appears Enzo doesn't want to consider them, as he takes the first beanbag he comes across, which is going to be Alex Albon in the Williams, number 23, slots in P10, but that's still points for the team. Next up we move to P9, and Enzo's made a beeline for Daniel Ricciardo, and that looks to be who he selected. Takes a quick look back just to double check he's confident with his decision, and he slots Daniel Ricciardo into 9th place. Next up then we move to P8, and it looks like he's going to go for one of the lower tier drivers. It's going to be Esteban Ocon in the Alpine. Still, that would be good points for them, as Ocon continue to try and show the team what they're going to be missing. Next up then we move to P7, and after initially kicking Tsunoda into Sainz, takes a little bit of time to deliberate, but does eventually settle on the Japanese driver, number 22. 7th place for Tsunoda, matching his best performance of the year. I think they definitely take that. So 6 drivers remain: Norris, Russell, Piastri, Sainz, Verstappen, Leclerc, and it looks like he's going straight for the top of the pyramid, as the driver he selected here is Lando Norris. Coming off of some top tier performances, it looks like it's going to be a bit of a reality check for the McLaren. Final 5 time now, and we're left with the 2 Ferraris, Russell, Piastri and Verstappen, with George Russell in the Mercedes going to be selected. Mercedes have had 2 3-4s in a row, but 5th place seems to be the best they're going to be managing, at least according to Enzo. 4 to go, and it seems that he's heading straight for the other McLaren, as it's a pretty easy choice, and Oscar Piastri finishes just off of the podium in P4. Podium now, and we're left with Max Verstappen and the 2 Ferrari cars, with Enzo making a beeline straight to Carlos Sainz. Does have a quick check to see if he wants to go for Leclerc, but in the end it's Carlos he puts on the last step of the podium. That of course leaves 2 drivers, our 2 most recent race winners, and Enzo does take a little bit of deliberation, but decides Max Verstappen should be finishing in 2nd for the Austrian Grand Prix. That of course means with just 1 driver left to select, it's going to be Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari that Enzo selected to finish P1 and take home his 2nd victory of the season. So there you have mine and Enzo's predictions for the Austrian Grand Prix. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and who would you put where, if you agree or disagree with any of our picks. But anyways, that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, do give the video a thumbs up. It really just tells me if you're enjoying the videos or if you're not. And if you've got any improvements or things you want to see, do let me know down in the comments below. But until next time, take care.